Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Nunesha and we are playing KSP 1.31. So today we're gonna send two relay satellites with a polar orbit around the moon. We will place them in a polar orbit around the moon. The reason for this is quite easy here. We have one relay satellite currently orbiting around the equator on the moon there, but what's gonna happen is if our ship is on this side as Leonard is, he will of course hit the moon spin, so he will change position. But to get better coverage, I want to launch two satellites in a polar orbit. Exactly what I've done here. If you look here at the Kerbals, so we will send them very high up, so they will spend most of their time up here. So you can see this one is not moving very fast at all. It's just moving around 133 meters per second. So we will do something similar there, so we can get coverage on this side, so we get better coverage around the moon. Because otherwise what will happen when we send a probe, for example our rescue lander that is controlled by a probe, it will land, it will lose contact, and that means that we can't control it. It wasn't a problem in the episodes before when we saved Shepard, our Kerbal here, because yeah, he was facing Kerbal here, and I just discovered that because I was wondering how my satellite network was. So we can see here also the pathways for the communication here. So you can see here that we have a similar one. If we look, let's see where we have there. We have a similar one here at Minimus, but I want to make a better coverage there, and I managed to build a satellite carrier with two satellites with a REA2 relay satellites, so it's just cost around us. Yeah, let's go to the vehicle assembly building and look at that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we can look at our satellite I've built. It's our REA2 one. This is currently configured and has been rerouted as a sub-assembly, so for some reason I can see my Delta V. Oh yes, I can see it here. So this one has 1800 Delta V, so it's more than enough for us, and I will transport it all the way to the moon. So first of all, let's go look at this satellite here. So I used the RA100, that is the biggest one, but as you can see it's super huge, and we only want this relay satellite to make the coverage a lot better on the moon, so we don't need the biggest one. So I went actually with the smallest one, this one over here. It uses an electric charge of 68.6 per second, but we have, as you can see here, we have the biggest extra large solar array, and they can, if everything is perfect, they will have an electric charge so it will be around 75 electric charge, so that's more enough. But if we don't have perfect coverage to the sun, we have 8 banks of 400 electric charge. So this one is really over-designed for its purpose, but we will not have we will have a lot of reserves here. And I also added a small inclined reaction wheel, so it will be easier to because there is no reaction wheel in the probe there, so I added that one for easier, so it will be easy to maneuver. Yes, I repeat myself a lot of times there. Okay, cool, so let's check out our satellite carrier. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we have our satellite carrier. I will go over it so you can understand the choices I made when I built it. Of course, I have put our satellites inside fairings so they don't create drag in the atmosphere. So let's start by checking this part. I will do it like that so we don't get distracted. So yeah, I used simple parts here for simple structural parts to make this part to hold those things up. And I added some struts for stability here, and we have a reaction wheel there, so this thing is actually stable. The reason for the nose cone is that when I added these tags here, it created some drag, and that noise cone helps with that. So this part here As you can see, it has 1400 delta V. It takes around 900 delta V to go all the way to the moon. So we have about 500 delta V to use to create our orbit around the moon without having to resort to use the fuel from our satellite. So we can already set them up in an orbit to save some fuel. And we have around 1800 delta V in our satellite, so there is more than enough to make adjustments in the future if it's needed. So let's go over the launch part here. So yeah, and also overall it's quite cheap actually with the satellites and with all the expensive solar arrays. It's just around 75,000. So we have here, I think I went with a skipper engine with a big tank, so I went with these ones just to get some. They're very cheap, the boosters, I don't use them so often, so it was a great choice just to have throw away to get some extra delta V, because we have a delta V, our launcher has a delta V of 4000, because the reason for that is it's a little bit hard to fly. You have to navigate a lot, maneuver a lot, so you lose a lot of delta V, but we will probably end up with 200 spare anyway, at least after my test flying. So yeah, so it's a simple launcher part we have here with a cheap LV Okay, I'm not finding my words here. So we have the cheap LVT30 Reliant engines. I will show you. Yeah, so you probably know them because that is one of the first engine you get in career mode. So it's this one. They don't have a swivel, but the skipper has a swivel, and I added extra fins here for stability because this one don't want to fly, don't play nice in the atmosphere. You have to. It's really hard to fly actually. Or harder, it's not impossible, but you can do a gravity turn, but it's really hard to fly, so that's why I have those extra fins to just keep it straight. And yes, so it was a lot of work to make that work, as we would call this the homemade booster parts here. I added some separatrons here because, as you can see, they are very tall, so it means if I would peel them off, I will have no control in which way they peel off, and they can hit the rocket. And if this rocket goes off course, you're screwed because you can only do a small adjustment in the atmosphere. I don't know, if you do big adjustment, it can lead to you losing control over the rocket. So yeah, that was our satellite carrier. We will speed this up, the launch, and we will meet each other at the orbit.
Meep, meep.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in orbit, so let's stage here. So now we only have our transfer part with my R2 satellites here, so let's plot a course to the moon. Let's see if I can get rid of the satellites here so we don't get fused, set as target. So okay, it looks like we have, if we are fast enough here, I have 5 minutes to make a orbit to the moon, which I think I can make it. So there we go. I will do this in two stages here. So first I will make an approach. We'll make an approach around this number here, and then I will try to adjust for it so we can get closer to the polar orbit. The reason for that is The reason I want to do it that way, because if we can make the adjustment here to get a better polar orbit around the moon, we will save a lot of delta V. I will guess it will take like 300-400 to do it on our own. So if we can do it here, it will cost just around 30. 30. Okay, I haven't staged. And then burst into. So we have a long burn of 3 minutes of 30. Is that correct? Yes, it's correct. So we have a burn of 3 minutes and 33 seconds. So that is 1.5 divide 1.5, 1 minute and 30 plus 15, 45, 46, 1 minute and 46 seconds. So let's warp here. Hope it's not too much. It was too much. God damn it. Have to be careful with. Okay, we have to redo this. Let's warp here. Okay, not the best approach, but I'm fine with that. We can fine adjust it later. So let's see. Let's try this again. The only positive thing, yeah, you use a little bit less delta V by doing maneuvers at the lowest point here at the Parapis, but yes, it doesn't really matter. It will not make a big difference, at least not here. Okay, let's get ready. Oh, I forgot the number. I have to redo it again because I don't want to take any chances. Oh, yeah. Let's remove that maneuver. Okay, cool. Okay, that's fine enough for me. Okay, I divide that number and we'll meet each other when I'm gonna execute this maneuver. Okay, cool, so now I have the right. I was not patient enough, that is the thing, yeah, so it took me 3 times to do things, yeah. So slow is fast. Slow is a lot faster than making mistakes and have to redo. One thing you gonna have to remember, I think this estimated burn thing, it doesn't take account for the acceleration. You can see here our acceleration is like we can actually get faster. And the reason for that is that we're burning fuel, so we get rid of it, so we get lighter, which in case makes our thrust to weight ratio even higher. So yeah. So this is not exact science here. That's why I like to do the last part manually anyway. Okay, let's go manually. Going very slowly here, just because yes, my impatience has already created extra time for this trip. So yes, I'm going slowly here, just finding the right. Okay, cool. So we have the orbit here. I'll just go out a bit from curving. And then I will adjust for that and try to put my lowest point under the moon here. So let's focus. Okay, it doesn't seem like it can't help me, so let's do it on our own. So first of all, we need to go normal. And then I think we need to go radial. We're gonna try to get a good orbit around under the moon here. Okay, so it went inside the moon. So that will save us a lot of delta V, because this is the orbit we want to have anyway. As you can see, it takes only 71.5 delta V to do it here. So let's see if we can get it a little bit more like that. And then we just place it in place, as we did around there. So that means that we will save all that. We can use some of our, in our transfer part, we still have 500 delta V. That will be more enough to create an orbit. It means we will save a lot of one. If we have made this adjustment here, I will guess around 400 delta V to get a polar orbit from the change of this one. So that's the reason why I do it here. Drayler told me you could use backspace to go directly to your ship. It doesn't work. I have experienced this sometimes with games, because I have a Swedish keyboard and some of the things just doesn't work. So I have to always have to tab things. And so this is a smaller burn. I think we want to, let's first go into maneuver. I think we want to go with a thrust limiter, so we get a longer burn. For our estimated burn is around 16 seconds now. I will probably go with 33, like that. So that means we will have finer adjustment while we are doing this maneuver, so we don't burn. We have a 16 burn, so yeah. I like to do it that way, so it becomes easier. So let's do a burst. So we're on 47 seconds burn. That's really good. Okay, we have a problem. Let's move it. Can I move it? Okay, I need to move this thing because I don't have time to execute it correctly. Okay, so let's go back to the moon. We are still... Okay, I think it's almost correct. So if I... Normal. Okay, cool. So now I have time to execute it. So let's go back to the ship. So it's almost correct there. So 37 seconds, 23 seconds burn before and 23 after. 23 of half if you want to be very exact. don't like the angle on it. Let's redo it. I think I had a better angle before. Oh, is this looks okay? It just looks weird from that view. So let's see radio. Let's do it like this. Okay, it looks okay. Okay, this has not been my best navigation system, but at least you can see how I do for making my things correctly for myself, fix my own faults here. So you are over there. Let's go halfway. It kind of looks weird from this angle, but in the focus view it was correct. So let's see how it plays out. Yeah, we have to see. At least we have made our approach a little bit better. I'm not sure why it looks like that, because in the focus view it looks like that. Maybe it's the angle. Yeah, I don't know why, but it looks right in the focus view, so I will have to trust that. Okay. Let's execute. You can probably do all this in one step, but I think it's easier to get a good approach where you hit your target and then do a kind of adjustment navigation. I think maybe there is a better way to, if you do it all in one, but I think it's just too difficult, for me at least. There we go. You can safely put it in 20,000. I just want to have 33,000 when I do my retrograde burn here, so it doesn't get weird. So, okay, so we're done with that. That's really cool, because now we can transport ourselves inside here. Yeah, it looks correct here, so... The only thing is that the lowest point is there. I want to have my satellite around here, but that is fixable. And this is just to be fuel efficient here, so let's put ourselves into retrograde. Warp here. The lowest point will probably also move when I do my retrograde burn here to get catched by the moon. So, but I'm waiting for it to get closer to the lowest point, so let's get over here. Let's get halfway. Let's burn around 20 seconds before the lowest point. Same mistake like I always do, I forget to... So now we will see it wrap around here. Okay, it was that angle, but this also depends because it's actually orbiting the sun, it's actually orbiting around Kerbal too, so yeah, let's not get hung up. But yeah, we have a lot of delta V left here, so if we want to do some small adjustments, I think that this can be a good thing. Cool. I think I will. And here we can see our satellite is, if that green line, it means that it is communicating with the Kerbal. If that disappears, we are in problems, because then we have problems, because then we cannot communicate and then we cannot control our probe. So yeah. 1 minute, let's go halfway. Reason, of course, is for burning here at the PRPs, I can't pronounce that, is that it will not change the lowest point very much if we burn retrograde here, in case instead of somewhere else. Let's warp a bit. So it's another old navigation episode here, but I like it sometimes, but I get tired of it some other times. This is interesting, because I usually doesn't do this kind of navigations, but I think we have a very good polar orbit here. So the good thing is, when we release our satellites here, they will already be in a good orbit, so all we have to do is to create. I want to send one upwards and the other one downwards, even that there is no up and down in space, but that is what I want to do. So let's get out of map mode, release one of our, let's first deploy this one, and decouple it. Okay, it's going away. Nice. Let's switch over to it. Let's see it. Yes, this is the correct one. We will go to the probe, rename it. Let's see. I've write down my naming convention here. So let's rename it first. Relay, yes, is correct. So Mun dash R2 relay satellite. Hopefully that is correct. I have always hard time to. So this is our first one of this model. So cool, accept. So now we don't confuse it with something else. Cool, so let's start working with this. Let's activate our engine. I will wait until we are a little bit away from our satellite carrier. It only takes a small burst, so now, yeah, now we are. I just bursted one notch. Okay, extend solar panels. Cool. So let's zoom out so we see what we do. Okay, so what do we want to do with this one? Let's send it upwards. So there is our highest point. And I think let's line it up there, because we know that is 90 degrees. Yeah, so I need to place it. I want to place it here. And then we want to go prograde. As high as we can get. There is another. Why I do it like this, I read about another guy on a forum, and I like the idea of this, because it will spend the most of its time up here, because the speed will be slowest there, because it will be not as affected by the gravity of the moon, but it will go very fast around here. So most of the times it will actually spend around here. This, if you divide it here, it will spend most of the time there. So yeah, it's a very simple. Okay, so we can go 186. I want to adjust it a little bit like that. And let's go to, oh, it only takes 186. And I saved a lot of delta V by just placing us in a good orbit here. So let's get a real burn here. So we want 26 seconds burn. Of course, this satellite is very light, so it shouldn't be any problem. So it will take us half an hour if we wait. So no, I don't want to warp to next maneuver. I want to warp here. And I think you see, here is the problem. I think I will almost, yeah, I think I will be safe here because we have satellites under it here. But yeah, I really want to make this satellite network better here. I don't. Let's warp the next. Oh, we are. That's weird. I thought we went in the other direction. So okay. The direction really doesn't matter. So warp here. And the problem is, if I've been here at this side, I will not have any communication, but sending this very high up in orbit, hopefully that will help out the coverage here. I know some people, it's actually syncing up these satellites perfectly, so when you have two of these, and one is going downward, so when this one is here, but yeah, I don't know how to do that. Or yeah, I really wish we could. It's quite cool. So that will mean that it's always one satellite. Yeah, I'm really confused about all the satellites. By the way, guys, if you are having any tips for me, because I'm right into science fiction TV series right now, I just binge watched The Expanse. A very, very good TV series. I really liked it, and it's quite realistic by things that works in space. It's really well made, so I can really recommend it, and the actors are really well. But if you have a science fiction TV series you can recommend me, so please recommend, or anything you like. It doesn't matter if I've already seen it. So I really loved The Expanse. I think it took me, I watched all the episodes in 3 days, I think. It was... Okay, so we are closing in. So 13 seconds before the node, 40 seconds after. Okay, cool, we are closing in. Yeah, there is some perfect way you can do satellites in this game, but I'm kind of happy if it's just okay coverage. I don't need perfect coverage. I think this is almost impossible because something will always block something. Okay, let's concentrate on the burn. Okay, I went too far. Let's go retrograde. Okay, it wasn't exactly as my trajectory here, but thank you for the word, right? I graveled for that word, and I tried to find it so many times, and I just write the correct word that fits for this. Yeah, so with this trajectory, I'm fine with it. It doesn't have to be perfect. I'm not trying to sync things here. So that's good. Let's get rid of this. We are done with this one. So let's see if we can find our... where do we have it? There we have it. Switch to. So, same deal. Deploy. Decouple. Rename. So there we go. So let's switch over to the other one. I think we have enough. Okay, that's just the decoupler. We have enough to deorbit ourselves. Let's zoom out here by my satellite. So let's deorbit this one. So we can see here. Okay, bye-bye. You're dead. Okay. So that one is dead. We don't have to clean that up. So let's go to our map mode. And switch to that one. Activate the engine. I think this will help our satellite coverage a lot, at least. Or that is my wish. Maybe it could be that I'm very unsure about the whole satellite things, especially when you are trying to cover a planet. It does. You could probably send satellites in a very advanced trajectories around, so it covers all the one. But I think this method will cover a lot. If I was very good at satellites, if I could sync twice of those, so they were synchronized and went around there. That was kind of things they do with real satellites. They have really good coverage, and it takes a lot of math to do it. And I think that is why it's not possible for me to do. So let's first add a maneuver here, and we will go 180 was the deal. I think if we want 182, okay. So there we go. Let's see how it looks. I think that is cool. The thing is, I could make the lowest point. Even lower, and that means that we'll spend even less time, because the closer you are, the faster it will go there. So it will spend even less time there. But I'm fine with 30,000. At least I will not bump into other things. So, which way are you going? Okay, so I think it's this way we are going. Yeah. Cool. So will you not need to execute this one? And I think it's the same burn time as it is almost the same. Let's just 26 or 30 seconds before, 30 seconds after. So let's warp. Hopefully that will make, because I think it will be a problem. Otherwise, just get in contact there. But if we have our satellites here, maybe we can get the signal through. We'll see how it goes in the rescue episodes. So yeah, that's one of the bad things of using probes, is that they need to have contact with Kerbal. You can actually turn it off in the settings, but I kind of like this because it's a reason for using satellites. Otherwise, why do you need satellites otherwise? So yeah, I kind of like that design decision. Okay, so let's wait patiently here. So let's get ready. We're almost here, 10 seconds. And that will be the end of the episode. After this episode, we will go back with our rover lander and save our Kerbals. We'll not save our Kerbal, it's just one Kerbal. My English has been awful this day. Sometimes it's really hard when I'm tired with the grammar. I really have to think about the English grammar. It's very different to my mother language. Okay, Okay, let's see. I want it as high as possible. So I will wait until we escape and then I will go retrograde. Okay. There we go. Okay, so that satellite is already on its way upwards there, and as you can see, its speed is actually slower if we compare it to what I'm talking about being close to the surface here. Because if you look at this one, it's moving at 700 meters per second, and that this one is moving in 400 meters per second. So if I speed up time a bit, we can see what happens. It's going upward, and it's losing speed fast here. Yeah, so it's going slower, 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 and slower. Okay, cool. I just want to see this thing in the tracking station. So let's click on our Kerbal. Zoom in here. Okay, that is a good sign that this thing is working, because his craft has actually contact with our satellite here. And that satellite, you know, I think it will help. It will help a bit, or at least this is my wish, because we will be coming here from Kerbal and swing around, but it depends, because the moon is spinning this way, so it means that when we are trying to save him, maybe he will not be on the dark side. He will at some point he will be facing Kerbal, but at least that those satellites will make the whole probe communication a little bit easier for us. Yes. Yeah, so that was everything for this episode, and as always, thank you for watching.